là, j'arrive. Normal, hein. Bon, ah ouais. L'image là, du cadrage, tout ça, c'est bon. Là. Cool.
Hello everyone, welcome to my Saturday extravaganza, 11 a.m. San Francisco time every week. Today I'm receiving Hugo R. Paris. It's funny, I've got trouble to say it in French, so we'll redo it in English. Hugo R. Paris. I'm mixing up the R and the RA. And let's launch the beginning. Hi everyone, welcome. So today I've got Hugo R. Paris with me, and we'll have some chat. I see that Malarkey is already online. If you're online, please say hello on the chat, and I'll do some shout out. I see Mariana is here also. Welcome everybody. That's going to be an interesting chat. Hi Hugo, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Frank?
I'm okay. Please let me know if the sound is all okay and everything. Trying to watch all the screens and the controls, so it's a little bit confusing. So first, what I would like to talk about. Where did I put that noise? Here is it. My calendar. So a couple of dates. Resident is on the 9th of June, and I'm still looking for some performance. This is on Tuesday, 8 o'clock. You've got Resonant Frequency just before on the Sunday, 7th of June. It starts at 6 p.m. San Francisco time. And also next Friday, you've got Bandcamp Day on June 5. All right. Go back to the... So... I'm showing you on the screen a picture. I think this is the first time I met you or saw you performing at the Contemporary Jewish Museum. I think it was in November 2017. And, I have no idea why I show up or who told me to go there or what was happening, but that was an interesting show. And I think when you were saying hi, I spotted a French accent, so I had to go and say hi.
Nice. I'm just opening your the YouTube link so I can see the photo. Okay, cool.
Yes. Okay. It's not a very good photo, but I don't know. It's part of a memory lane.
It is. Good memories.
Yes. Yeah, and it was a nice space too. Who's performing with you?
Shelley Sherman. She's a visualist, very, very talented visualist. And she made those beautiful, I think you can see them on the screens in the background, those beautiful crystal shapes that moved around. And I made sound design for them. I flew into San Francisco from Portland for this show and made sound design for her beautiful visuals. And so we had like maybe a couple weeks before the show to kind of like talk about what she'd like and start prepping remotely. And then we had 4 days before the show where we were together in San Francisco and like had a couple sessions together. There she is, Shelly. Yeah, she's super talented. And she just did, she surprised me, I didn't know, but she got involved with a music video that will come out later this year. My friend Jody Stillwater made. And she made some visuals for that video too. And when they showed up on the video, I was like, oh, that's Shelly's work. And sure it was. So it's really, she's a good friend.
I just pasted the link to our site, so please have a look. For the people viewing, or you go, there's a little bit delay with the YouTube, but the picture. All right. Yeah, so that was interesting, and I think, from there I more or less follow you, and then, with the group of Resonant Frequency and the left coast, we started, reconnect a bit. So I need to talk about your site. I'm moving links around. So this is a Hugo site. So if you want to have a look and also see a little bit about biography, so maybe I should ask. So Hugo, who are you?
I'm a recording and touring artist on Jackton Records and Beacon Sound, and I make finely crafted live hardware electronic music. And my performances involve keyboards, modulars, and percussions. And Hugo R.A. Paris is my real name. It could be a bad, I would have poor imagination if that's the artist name I came up with, just because I'm French and my last name is Paris, but it really is my name. And R.A. are standing for my middle initials. And I'm fortunate enough to have two amazing record labels support me throughout this adventure. I have Jackton Records, who I've been working with since 2014. and Beacon Sound, who I started working with in 2018. Both amazing record labels.
Yeah, that's.
And during downtime touring, I started a mixing business that's called Tiny Crush Mixing. And during downtime from touring, I take client mixes and I mix songs for them. And I also have a per project production package that's available for me to produce tracks. But for now, my clients are mostly focused on mixing.
All right, that's good. I guess I'll come to it a little bit later. There's Mariana who's asking, where exactly are you born in the south of France? Because Mariana and myself, we lived in Marseille. So she's from Europe. She's not from France, but lived in Marseille. I lived in Marseille, not the same time. And
cool.
So which part of south of France?
Close to Provence. I was born in Montpellier, which is close to Marseille as well. And soon after I was born, my parents and I moved to Marseille. But that's before I was 3 years old, so I have no memories of it. And then I came back to Montpellier, and my parents separated, and my father went back to Marseille. And so I went back and forth a lot.
Right.
Yeah. But I was born in Montpellier, but I grew up in a small village of just a few thousand inhabitants back in the day. That's 20 minutes away from Montpellier.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Outside of the coast or in Provence, you've got some very nice, interesting village.
Absolutely.
He's asking which football club are you cheering for?
That's a funny question. I get it often, and I guess I would say Montpellier, but I don't even know because I'm not really a sports person. I like to practice sports. I like, I skateboard, I jog, I play tennis, just really recreationally, but I like doing it. I'm just not too much of a sports watcher, so it would be hard for me to really pick a team. I could just root for the team of the city I was born in, but that's about it. And I know they weren't bad last time I checked. They were pretty good, but I don't know where they're at now. If you know, then you can tell me in the chat.
Yes. I don't know. I think I went to see only once the OM in the stadium. I don't know. For me, it's like a concert. I go to see it. I'm less interested to watch it on the TV, but to be with people, have an event. I see Caroline and Sense of Music has joined us. So hi. While I'm at it, don't forget to click like on the video wherever you are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, and Periscope. And also subscribe. That is super duper. I think I'm moving. So you released last year Threaded Habitat, and you've got your Bandcamp site. So let me paste that. Cool. So was this record? I think it's still available as a vinyl also.
Yes, it's available as vinyl and digital download, but you have to buy the vinyl to get digital download.
And I think you're encouraging everybody that wants to follow you to go to you on Bandcamp. I think. Exactly.
Yeah, Bandcamp and Patreon. I think those are the right platforms for me at this time. I think other streaming platforms are appropriate for artists that are much larger than we are. And I think that at this time, for me personally, this works best is the combo between Bandcamp for released content and merchandise and records and t-shirts, and then having Patreon to just create more of a one-to-one relationship with people and kind of see the progress of things. And I also use it to share some worksheets and extra content for my series Wednesday Inspiration for Artists.
Let me show your Patreon site. I must be mad, I'm sending people away. Anyway, that's a good reference for people. Alphaster join us. Hello kids. Do have you? Yeah, so Patreon. I don't know. Last week I was talking about KZLuna, and you've got that L audio, so that I think that's a nice way to support artists. As today, music is mostly free. It's more, you go and support artists. You can create.
Yeah, we can get on it. It's kind of like a way to get on a journey together versus just consuming music that is played to you randomly through an automated playlist, or maybe you have something running in the back but you don't really know who's playing. Here it's more of an experience where you know who's made the music, you've heard them talk before, maybe you've talked to them, and maybe you have more of a relationship with them through Patreon, through their art on Patreon, and like kind of like seeing them grow as an artist. And I think that platforms like Patreon are really helpful in times like this time now when, for example, I was supposed to go back. Threaded Habitat came out July of 2019, so I went on tour. Started touring at the end of the summer into the fall, took a little break in the winter, and I was working really hard on getting my bookings lined up for the spring into the summer. And then the pandemic happened, and you know it all fell apart for, like it's the case for every artist. And so having a platform like Patreon allows me to continue connecting with my audience and also continuing sharing things more directly. And also it's an opportunity for others who want to support me to provide that support and allow me to continue creating full time.
Yeah, no, that's a little bit the thing I see also. You have the continuous microphone that makes some looping, maybe. Yeah, so that's nice. So we were talking about Bandcamp, so I'll continue a little bit on use actuality. So that's your Bandcamp site. I saw also that Robert Rich have released a new album also on Bandcamp, Referring to the Morning Fog, and I think it's a Name Your Price. Be nice of him. But has got and is known for. I've started to do a timeline of the history of electronic music in the Bay Area, and is known for doing sleep concerts. You go with your pillow, and by 10 p.m. and then you lay down, and then he plays music till the morning. I think that's one part of his famous, and it was that I forgot what they. Also, I wanted to talk about yes, Hugo.
I said his work is so well crafted. I love it.
Yeah, and then his album cover is one of his painting, I think, because he's playing with mushroom and paint. That's also interesting. I've got also Fets, who has uploaded a series of singles and part of the check Fets. He's a audio visualist, and I have to mention I've got my last album Symphony that I've released, and you can get the DVD of it because it's a quadraphonic recording, and I don't mix it into stereo, the digital release, but I wanted to have phonic, so I put it in the DN 5.8 with your. As we are talking about Bandcamp, next Friday is Bandcamp Day, so Bandcamp have decided that on the first Friday of the month, they waive their fees, so all the money for buying albums on Bandcamp is going directly to the artist. Waiving what's their cut? Not too much, I think it's 10 or 20%, I forgot. But that's a Bandcamp Day, and that's usually, look about everything you want to buy and then go on the Bandcamp Day to buy.
Bandcamp, such a great platform.
Yeah, no, that's nice for indie artists, and also you've got people that are there to support the artists that they like. that's a good environment. I'm just looking at the chat. See HR Terror join, Malaki is here, and Udem. I think I say Alpha there. So hi everybody, thank you for joining. Got Hugo R.A. Paris with us. As I wanted to talk on Bandcamp, I would like to thank all my supporters. So I didn't do the Patreon side, I do the community on the Bandcamp and be part of my community. I'd love to have you added. Thank you to all these people that are supporting me. That's your Patreon site. So Hugo Paris Music. You got various level to join.
Yes, and I'm gonna redo the tiers fairly soon, within early next week. But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So yes, my next stuff. Oh, okay, we'll get that. So you were talking about you started Tiny Crush mixing for doing the mixing, and I think you were telling me also you've got a couple of project with Nathan.
Yes, not well. So sometimes people will reach out to Nathan for a mix, and Nathan focuses on mastering. So he has pointed people to me for mixing, and so because of that, the albums and tracks I've mixed have gone through Nathan, which is really nice to hear. Like, you know, releases that I've mixed go through his hands and see how he processes them on the mastering phase of things. But Nathan and I go quite that way back because we were, back when I lived in San Francisco, we were friends there, and we're talking a lot about music, and that's before he was doing so much mastering. Now it's like amazing how his mastering business has taken off and who he's working with. It's just the album he mastered for Heinbach just came out, and it's absolutely amazing. Like everything he touches, really, he kills it, and so that's awesome. And Threaded Habitat, actually, he mastered the album. The digital version is mastered by Nathan, and he did a killer job on it. Like he really took the release to the next level. So it's super cool. Super cool to have like people I trust to talk about music with and to talk about entrepreneurship with, and to also like, you know, talk about maybe the more technical aspect of things as well.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I did also element mastering. I wanted to know what it is. That was interesting to see, you know, what I sent it to him. That was live recording, so the mixing was on the fly. So that was live recording on the modular, so I sent it to him, and then I could hear the difference. When, you know, on modular I had only 2 tracks, and there's no many stems, so you can't. You have to work with just the audio sound. That's interesting, really interesting. That's quite cool. Yeah, I watched the what they call it, the making of Heinbach mastering stuff with Nathan. So we are talking about Nathan Moody. His site is obsidiansound.net. I think on the... Yeah, so yeah, to see him explaining the mastering and how he approached it, it's really interesting. If you want to look what's happening, quite interesting. You got the occasion to hand one of your album to Nathan from.
Yeah, absolutely do it.
Yeah, no, that's quite cool.
And if you need mixing, send it to me.
Yes. So mixing with Hugo and mastering with Nathan, that's the killer combination.
Yes.
And yeah, and I think I also sent my duplication CD DVD to some company in Oregon also. So,
oh, which one?
Atom Disc.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. I was looking for something which is nearby, so that shipping is relatively easy.
Mm-hmm.
They were looking to have a nice, not too expensive package, and then several options. All right. right. So also you were telling me. So I don't know. Is there any mixing work that you can talk about that you are doing, or it's all it's all secret till the release?
No, I don't think there's secrets. Yeah, I finished an album with an amazing modular artist who also has a stand-up upright bass background, and his name is Fritz, and the artist's name is Baltergeist, and the work is pretty amazing. Like very musical, but also has like a lot of edge to it, and involves some modular, but also some of Peter Blaster instruments as well, which have these crazy sound palettes to them and noises. And I was just we did the full album together, and it was super interesting to mix it and just help Fritz really find a sonic signature for the specific album that fits most of the tracks, or that fits the track, and then do tweaking on each of the tracks. But really finding a sound for the album was something that I found really rewarding, because I'm an artist too. I tour as well. I have my recordings, which I produce and mix myself, and sometimes I get some outside perspective for my mixing for my tracks. But getting to be the person who's trusted with someone else's material was very nice for me, because I know how it feels to trust someone with your material and to trust someone with your vision and how much you've worked on it. And so getting to be trusted with it and being given the opportunity to really help someone realize their artistic vision was extremely rewarding. And then seeing the album come to life is so pleasant as we mix the tracks and eventually it gets mastered, in this case by Nathan, which was like super cool to hear also, and then get some perspective on my mixes. Yeah, it's just an amazing experience. And right now I'm working with an artist from the UK who's making absolutely beautiful electronic music in the vein of Rival Consoles, if you know them.
No, sometimes I need to look for some music. Yeah. I'm discovering a lot of stuff since I'm doing these things also.
That's awesome. That's also what it's for, right? Conversation and sharing artists that we like. But Rival Consoles, I recommend checking it out. It's super intricate and really beautifully produced electronic music, and it's quite dynamic throughout the album, which is, as you've heard my music, you know that's something I like when an album is dynamic. You know that it has parts that are kind of like quieter and smaller, and then it opens up and more energy, maybe closer to the listener, and then further back. So yeah, so I'm working with an artist from the UK, that's in the vein of Rival Consoles, and then yeah, and then we're doing some exploration with amulets, trying to see if I can help him find a good sound for his next record, and then we'll see where that takes us.
Brought up his site Amulets. Randall Taylor.
Yeah.
Here is this page. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I've been also exploring also on Modular, because Modular, it's like 30-minute piece and you perform.
Yeah.
How do you convert it into 5-minute piece?
Yes.
Make it tracks. So I'm exploring about like creating movement, so something quiet and then energetic, and changing the voice, but in a way that later on I can slice it into 6 minutes and play it continuously, or that's a little bit the thing.
I love the idea of movement.
Yeah, and also that allow you to get some, I don't know, people were talking, so when you start, what happened to me, once I turned that knob and I did this stuff, what else can I do? So you've got you start to learn of how you can build something and change your voice and come back to it. You were talking also, finding what's the style, the genre, the mood of the people. But also I saw on Instagram you are doing, is it a weekly stuff or inspirational videos and share your experience with people?
Yeah, yeah. So it's called Wednesday Inspiration for Artists, and it's every Wednesday. I post a video where we're not in the studio, we're not near gear, we're outside, and really I wanted to bring the focus back a bit away from the gear, which we naturally all talk about a lot and sometimes too much, and just bring the focus back to the craft. And really, that craft is a medium for us to convey ideas or emotions. And so going back to the emotions and how to best convey them, and also the artistic process with all the blocks we may meet and ways to lift them. So really helping others through my personal struggles and what I've discovered, help others not have to reinvent the wheel and share what I've learned so that they can benefit from my experience and not have to go through the whole thing like I did.
Yeah, that's what I like in the community is sharing the experience, keep it closed doors, keep the secret sauce for you. Oh, I forgot to ask you. So, if somebody wants to do mixing, how do they contact you?
Good question. So my email is currently the best way. It's HUGO P as in Peter LHO at gmail.com. HUGOPLHO@gmail.com.
Is it okay if I paste it on the chat?
Absolutely.
Right, just checking. No, you will have plenty spam, but also a lot of project, I hope.
That's all good. Yeah, and I have introductory rates throughout July, 10% off of my rates. So if you contact me with a project that's 40 minutes or more total, that's another 10% off.
We're coming close to the alpha hours. That's usually when I put a little bit of music. Back with some question. What I wanted to tell people is that please, ask your question on the chat, and I will pass it to Hugo. And also, if you're not the chat type, just click this link, meet Jitsi, Franck Martin, and we can have a video conversation and a chat with Hugo. So, if you want to join the fun. So, I think I should play this stuff and then we'll come back. And I think you've got a modular synthesizer behind you also. And see what's on it. And able to do a little bit impro sound.
Sounds good.
All right, okay. Move to the movie. And I think and before I move, I saw Raymond just joined all the way from Netherlands, I guess. Hi, Raymond. And also Manifold Theory is here. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to play this quick video of Hugo. We'll talk about it later after that. Right, see you.
冬ごもり春去り来れば中去りし鳥もきなきぬ逆去りし花も咲けれど山をもみ入りても取らず草深み取りても見ず秋山の木の葉を見てはもみじをば取りてそしの青きをば起きてそ嘆くそこしがめし秋山我は
Hi everyone, welcome back. That was really awesome. So I'm with Hugo R.A. Paris. I've got a few people that came online. I saw Need for Storm and Peter Rashman, and also KZLuna, also known as Kazol. I think somebody was asking, what's the synthesizer that you're using? Is it the one that we now see on the screen?
Yes, that's my touring rig. Yes. So at the center of it is this one. I have a mixer here. This is just an adapter that I've made. Monsoon, which is a small version with more controls of clouds, 4ms DLD, typographic delay, stereo trigger sampler. I have the Scorp instrument pair mod here, which is both the sequencer and also a MIDI interface. And I use it to have my modular, Sensel booklet under controller talking with my modular. Pressure points for sequencing and touching. Playing a little bit interface. Domino, which I love here. So that's a monophonic voice. And that little of an HP format with like the filter, the envelope generator, the VCA. And it sounds super solid. And it's made by EOWave, which is a French company. This one, which I've conceived and developed when I worked at 4MS Company. A couple of switch modules that my friend, he goes by Flaming Garlic on Instagram, but his name is Jesse, built. And he's the person who assembled my Monsoon. And then some Bastel Quattro Figaro. It's a quad VCA slash mixer slash matrix mixer, and then this adapter I made. So that's my rig for touring. I like to keep it small. I know some of us like to play with a really big system. I'm more of a minimalist when it comes to the size of my system. I like to keep it focused, and that's usually what I will use to write music, like 2 roads like this, 104. I also have another block of modular that I use. So it's just 1 row. I can connect them together, and I use it more for exploring new modules. So I just got the Schlappy Engineering 3-body prototype from Eric last night, and so it's in there for me to explore later. And then this is Aristotle, which was made by my friend Jesse too, and it's kind of like a bit, you can think of it a little bit like the Zolan Canon, which is like an interesting and weird gate sequencer thing with feedback paths.
Yeah, so there's an interesting module from Schlappy. Let's go to it soon. I've got a few questions. So the stuff, what kind of sound you were using was coming from Peter Brackman. Malaking was also asking, your set that you did at Mutek, what's the inspiration coming from, and what's your creative approach to do this set?
I really like this question. I'm gonna just hold my webcam and hope you guys can see me okay.
Yeah.
How is that now?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So I really like this question about the live set. What is the intention behind it? What's the purpose? And what's the inspiration? And I've been playing Threaded Habitat, which is my album which came out last summer on Jackson Records and Beacon Sound. I have an approach that's more of the regular band approach, where I have a record and then I'll present it live. And so I played through the pieces of the album. I just rearranged the order, and I have a couple new things in there that are not on the album. And then I change the order based on the venue or event I play, and I also change a little bit of the track list that I will play for a show. So I have a couple of things that I can swap out. and I have a couple new elements in there as well. But I think the idea behind my live set is that I wanted to have something dynamic, like the album, with quiet and calm parts, which oftentimes are played in the modular, that are more ambient and we come down, but also higher energy parts with that allow dancing and more beats and drum machine stuff. And I also have some percussions on stage, which allow me to play, which I really enjoy. I've realized that playing beats just with modular or even fixed architecture drum machines didn't fully work for me because the music brings a lot of tension mentally to focus on all the equipment and making sure it works properly and flawlessly, and that it just has a good flow. And so I was building kind of tension and energy like this, and I didn't have the cathartic release of like moving as much because I was kind of tied to a certain drum machine or a certain module in my system. And so I wanted to shift a bit, which we didn't see on Franck's video, but my live set has percussions so that I can actually do this. Like there's parts where I'm actually playing the drums on the drum pad, and that feels really good. That and playing the keys feels amazing during live set because it has the release of all the tension, the stress before playing a show, the mental tension of thinking about the gear. All this gets released into performing, really moving and performing, which is really fun too.
And I think people also were asking a couple of questions. Need for Storm, he say he saw you at Velocity in Seattle.
Oh yes.
And he say, how do you travel with all that gear?
Well, first off, hey Dorian, it was really nice to meet you at Velocity, and Dorian and I have been friends since, and it's nice to know you're here with us today. So how do I travel with all my gear? That's a very good question too. That's something I had to figure out. So I had to make choices and pare things down. But basically, I have all my gear set up when I played in Velocity. I was just flying back from France, where I had played before. And I have all my gear fit in a Pelican. It's a brand that makes, for those who don't know it, that brand that makes very sturdy cases and also suitcases for all sorts of fragile camera equipment, high-end camera equipment. So I have a big suitcase. That's the exact maximum size allowed on all airlines. In which I fit my 2 rows of Eurorack and my analog keys keyboard. And then my drum pad is in there. And then I have a briefcase, which is really a pedal board that closes as a briefcase. That contains my Octatrack, and then the pedals that go with the Octatrack, because I use the Q out of the Octatrack as an FX stand. And that's about it. And then on my rider, I guess I have cables in my backpack. And then my mixer is quite small. I use right now it's in the studio because I have a smaller setup at this time, but I use this mixer, which is also an amazing DI by Radio. So that's my touring mixer, and all my instruments go through it. So it's kind of compact. If you want to see, that's my finger next to it. So it gives you a range of size.
I use a K-Mix also, is quite small and not too...
Yes. How do you like it?
Yeah, I like it. I know some people have got... they don't like the pressure point, but yeah, it's a mixer, it's an audio interface, and that's very small for me when I stream Resident. I bring this mixer and I bring my microphone that I have right now, but he has got also audio in. I can plug into a phone, or I can plug into my earphone.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I use my phone as a camera too, so like this.
Cool.
I look also about the first, friend invited me to go and do a show at Asheville just after Mockfest, and that's when I say, okay, what do I pack all my stuff? And I put my modular case into a suitcase, and I put that into what do they call it? Luggage, not cabin. So I suppose your Pelican also goes in as a luggage.
The carry-on is checked in luggage, and I have for it. That's a tip that I recommend for anyone who does travel with their equipment that has value to them, financial and emotional. I got this small tracker. It's called Geigo, Geigo, and the reason why I got this one and why I'm mentioning it to you is because most trackers, they don't track internationally, they just track nationally, and you pay for a plan that just tracks nationally. So if for some reason you take a flight, even a national flight, and your suitcase get routed accidentally to another country, then you have zero tracking over it, which is really what I was worried about, like flying to France and my suitcase ends up in another country by accident. And so I got this tracker that I think is less than $100, and then you have a plan that's less than $100 a year. You just put that in your suitcase. Battery life is like over 2 weeks. So if your suitcase disappears, you can just see on your phone where it's at. And if the airline tells you, we don't know where your suitcase is, you can tell them it's right there. And I would like to have it back.
Yeah, I put on my carry-on the Moog Subharmonicum because that's a one-off. I didn't show everything else, so I would be unhappy to lose it. But the Subharmonicum, well, no, it's released, so I can get a new one. It was the engineer version, but I can get a new one. That was the purpose, to get it. To avoid that I lose it. Yeah, no.
And there's the stress, of like losing your gear, but there's also the stress of like not being able to perform, because as electronic music artists, we like the equipment is part of the band.
Yes. So
if the equipment doesn't make it to the venue, half of the band is not there. Luckily, at least for myself, the equipment I use is stuff that I could find. Like I could find, there's only one Franck Martin. So if I'm touring with Franck Martin and Franck Martin gets on the wrong plane and it doesn't make it to the venue, then there's no show. Yeah. But if my Octatrack doesn't make it to the venue, that's okay. Yeah, because I have all my Octatrack files backed up to the cloud, the full session. And so I can grab any Octatrack and just load it quickly on there and get going.
Yeah, that's... And also, with a friend, they do a DJ for internet conference. They've got a rider, got a Pioneer DJ stuff, USB key, and then up and running. It's a little bit more complicated with modular and esoteric modular and the system already patched. Yeah, so you were showing us your case. So you say you're working on a new module from Schlappy Engineering?
Oh, I'm not working on it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but I know Eric. We're good friends. He lives here in Portland. We live near each other, and we're good friends. And he's been working on this module for over a year and a half. And we've been talking about it because we jam often together. I have it here. It's the 3-body here. This one. And I remember him working on the individual module for this, but then eventually he branched out into a triple module. It's super cool. It's I believe it's the first FPGA-based modular synth. So FPGA is a type of chips that were proprietary for a long time, and they're really fast, but they're hard to code, and the access to the knowledge and how to code them and use them was proprietary for a long time, so kind of closed doors. And some group kind of like reverse engineered it and allowed others to use it by doing this. And Eric has dived into it, and it's really hard to code. So Eric is super smart, and he's able to do this, but also it's much faster and it's very powerful. And so that's how he was able to make this crazy FM, triple voice with lots of FM and phase modulation and cross modulation in all directions available in one package like this with that chip. And it also because it runs so fast, it's digital, but because it runs so fast, the sampling rate is really high, so you don't have any of the artifacts you would get with digital instruments. It doesn't sound digital necessarily. Like it's the peak of innovation is the instrument that's on the market now that's FPGA based, and it's absolutely insane. Like if you have ever played with it, you know that, and if you haven't yet, you should really play with it because it's really fun. Beacon Summit.
Showing the Lappy Engineering page.
Yeah.
We're starting to reach about the top of the hours. Still have a question from, and I think we may ask this question, and then maybe you want to do a little bit of audio on your modular, and then we'll conclude by that.
Sure.
So I've got Manifold Theory that is asking if you can talk more about your instrument sound bass with a sensei, with a Sensel.
Oh yeah, of course. So for those that don't know, the Sensel Morph is this instrument, and really it's a controller, and it has it's a nice three-dimensional controller, which means that you have X, Y, and then Z's pressure, and it's very sensitive. And then you can go and put this overlay that's magnetic on it. It's a nice rubber feel, and you have an application that maps all these to different MPE or MIDI signals. And in my case, I like to work with hardware, so I have the Squarp instrument HERMOD that allows me to convert the class-compliant USB media output to CV signals and control my modular. And so I've been using this as a controller, and particularly with the spherical wavetable navigator, because the spherical wavetable navigator has a navigation system using spherical coordinates to navigate in 3 dimensions, a 3-dimensional space that represents the timbres of the instrument. So having a 3-dimensional controller for me was very interesting in exploring that and exploring those timbres. And so part of my Patreon series and was the inspiration for Artist series was something that I call positive reset, which is when we're in a weird space mentally and we have a long day or the news are waiting on us. And we get to the studio, sometimes we're like, I feel defeated, I feel tired, I feel bummed out. And I don't necessarily want to show that in my music. I want my music to bring me positivity and bring it to others as well. And so the idea of positive reset is, it comes with a creative spark. And the idea is that you pick a specific memory to which you have positive emotions tied to. So in my case, it was remembering my childhood going to see my grandparents. And that, I promise, all ties back to the Sensel instrument. And so this memory of my grandparents, when I think of it, I feel safe, I feel cared for, I feel loved, and I feel peaceful. And so I decided to show how to use this concept by taking this memory before every session, take the photo out, look at it for 10, 15 minutes, immerse myself into the emotions that are tied with those memories of my grandparents. And once I'm there emotionally, then I start thinking about creating, only then. And that's when the creative spark kicks in, because I'm using this memory as a creative spark to create. And I was doing this for Patreon and for the series to show how I was approaching to inspire others to find their way to approach positive creativity and creative spark and positive resets. And when I did that, this long generative piece came out of about an hour and 20 minutes. And so that was a week before we did the stream with Sensel. And this long generative piece had like long drawn out chords that would slowly shift in timbre, and then the chord would shift over the course of 30 seconds to a minute. So really long. And so this was very appropriate for sampling. And so I sent that to Sansol, and what they did is that they created an instrument, a virtual instrument, that works really well with this, that has three-dimensional controls tied to it, that control the triggering of different pads and the filtering and all sorts of things that allow you to actually play with those sounds, even though you would not have the modular rig I had at that time. So I could literally like just have my laptop and this if I wanted, and play the type of sounds that came out from these pleas around positive resets and Creative Spark. That's awesome. So that's how it came out.
What was the module that you say you to convert from the Sansol to CV?
Good question. That's also a French brand. Let's see if I can show it to you.
I think you say Scorpio, but I may have...
No, Scorp.
Oh, Scorp. Sorry.
Scorp Instruments.
Oh, Scorp.
Mermod.
Okay. Mermod.
Which is, they have a desktop sequencer. Scorp Instrument does, which I forgot, I completely blanked the name off, but this is the modular version. And it's very cool because it has, let's see, it has 8 CV and 8 gate outputs, MIDI in, MIDI out, and really what makes it super useful for me, because I don't use MIDI as much with my modular, is that it has, it works with class compliant USB devices. So it allows me to not have to go through a computer to grab the MIDI signal from this and send it to my modular. And they're French.
Yay, oui, oui.
Oui.
By the way, we forgot to ask people, so which one of us two has got the sexiest French accent? Let's see. Let's see what people think. So
wait, what do we win though? What do we win, Franck? It's your game, so you have to say what
I don't know. I don't know. That was the question for Mara. When are you coming to SF?
Oh, me?
Yes.
Well, I would love to. I was virtually in SF on Saturday. I played Mutech, and I'm looking forward to being back because I used to live in San Francisco in the Mission. I have lots of friends there, and it's really close to my heart. It's just a bit complicated to travel right now.
Yes, indeed. But I guess once everything reopens, we'll see you often.
Yes. Yeah, invite me.
Yes, and I think I still have to go all the way up to Portland. I need to figure that one out.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so it's a little bit the top of the hour. Let me do back a little bit of Mara thinks is the best French accent is Haute-Savoie accent. IoT. But she was living there also in Haute-Savoie. Next to... I can't remember the name of the lake. Yeah, name sometimes I lose. All right, come back. I'll leave it. This. So let me summarize a little bit on the news. Everybody, that's very nice you join us. Please click like, subscribe. Both of us. Please click like, subscribe to the YouTube. Go and check Hugo's site. Go on Bandcamp. Next Friday, this is a Bandcamp no fees day, so that's the best time to buy stuff on Bandcamp. Get Hugo's album and discography. Look at my latest album, Symphony. There's a few other albums that have been released. I was talking about Fez and I was talking about Claude Rich. I think next Sunday is Resonant Frequencies at 6 p.m. This is a live event stream for you. Last time there was like 10-12 artists together. Just after on Tuesday, you've got Resonant Frequencies. There's a form online on Be Improviser. Here, there's a form online on Be Improviser if you want to participate as an artist. Read the information. Otherwise, please join us for the streaming will be on the Coyote Ring Studio YouTube. What else? And oh yeah, I would like check also Hugo Patreon, and I would like to thank all my community from Bandcamp. If you want to support this weekly show, if you want to support the music I make or all the craziness I do, it's awesome to get you on the community. So check the Bandcamp link. What's the first year I've got? $20 a year, so it's nothing. But it's appreciated to recover some of the cost streaming. Awesome. And then you can have your name here on the list. I'm coming
and it's
back.
really good music.
All right, thanks. And I put it back on your bio, and I'm going. So what about you? I'm looking at everybody. I think people were saying hello everybody and thanks, so that's cool. I saw Peter Brushman. I think is a new face here. I hope also next week. I don't know who will be my guest next week or what will be the format. Surprise. What about you do a little bit of 5-minute music and then we close the show?
Sounds good.
Or you
Sounds
need,
good. I'll try to play a piece from the record.
Or you need to go.
No, I don't need to go.
Okay.
I need to set up. That's all.
All right. I'm just checking things. So yeah, move to better visualization.
All right, are you ready?
I go for it.
Et voilà.
Et voilà. Impeccable. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you Hugo for being my guest this Saturday. That's really awesome.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you everyone who was here. It was really fun.
Yes. We have had Maena, Peter, Malaki, Manifold, Theory, Need for Storm, Sensor Music, KZLuna. Who am I missing? So Caroline earlier, Udame, Malaki was there, HR Terror, Alpha Star. I think I get everybody. So thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Hugo. Good luck with your mixing business, and we are looking forward for your next album and hopefully a live show. Meanwhile, we'll watch everything on streaming.
Thank you. Me too.
That was awesome. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you very much. See you.
Bye-bye.